Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you an example of a content gauntlet. This is one that Know How Digital used. There were several authors contributing to it, so not everything is filled out, but it's a good example of what you could possibly do. And I also will have shared this Google Doc with you. So as you can see, the rows here are based on the content that you write, and the columns are basically like a checklist of things that you'd want to get done. The first one is just, the date that it got posted, which you add in after the fact usually. Headline options. I think it's really important to come up with, I always say a minimum of 3 to 5 headline options. As you can see, depending on who wrote the content, some people did it, some people didn't. But I think it's really important. It's very easy to test these. I mean, at the very least, you can bring it to a group and just say, what do you guys like better? Or if you want to do a more serious test, you could set up a Facebook ad, or you could set up an AdWords ad really quickly. And really with under like $10, you can figure out what is the best title. And if it's a big post, it's worth doing. Next one is SEO. So yeah, basically with actual blogs, I often just kind of ignore whether there are words that I can be targeting, and I know I shouldn't do that. So after the fact, I generally go and I check, okay, well, is there anything that makes sense for me to target here? This is something you can easily teach a VA to do. Email or social opt-in hook. That's incredibly important. I think every post needs one, and it should be very specific to the theme of the post. So it should be a call to action that asks people for the email address in exchange for something, or like the social opt-in could be something similar to a content locker. And again, this is more of a checklist to say, yes, you've done it, or no, you haven't. There's the description if you mess over. Your projected conversion rate to email or social hook. So just as Nate, what's your guess, basically? We'll go over these blue columns later, but that's what we're going to look at after the fact, maybe a week or a month after, to see whether they converted better or worse than we expected. Generally speaking, 5 to 10% is a good conversion rate on a single piece of content. Sometimes you can do a lot better, sometimes you'll do worse. It really depends on how good your call to action is. This here, text version, audio version, video, was sort of based on the Pat Flynn Be Everywhere. To me, I don't find it as important, but again, if you want to get the most out of your content, you really should, why not do a video version, then why not take the audio of that and do an audio version? That being said, I don't find this quite as important. Innovative eye candy, pretty much are you doing something unique graphically with your post? So Know How Digital, similar to Pat Flynn, we do unique blog images for each of our posts. So that's just another, it's probably not the 80-20. It's not that 20% that gives you 80% of the result. However, if you do it, people notice, and it's one of the contributing factors to making your blog stand out. Scannable and Skimmable approved. So this is actually quite important. Not many people talk about it, but this is about writing for the web and writing for people who are scanners and skimmers, which means pretty much having the key phrases bolded or linked or somehow standing out, and at the beginning and at the end of paragraphs and sentences, so that you can pretty much skim over the article in 20 seconds and know exactly what it was about. Key takeaway section was just something unique that I wanted to have, which was at the end of each post, making sure to sum up what the key takeaways were in bullet point for people who, again, are more scanners or want the TLDR version of it. The audience engagement hook is same idea as kind of that email social opt-in hook, but sometimes it can be just more on something that they can actually do as opposed to necessarily getting their email or spreading the post for you. So some kind of impact that the post could have. This is really important for me. Where's the innovation in the content? It's got to be, how is it innovative? How is it different than from what other people are doing? Again, may not be as important to you, but you can kind of choose from this list and also add others as to what you think is important. Interlinking is actually really important because I often overlook it just because I'm lazy, but you should be interlinking at least 3 other pieces of content, probably more on your blog, just keeping in mind that a lot of people may stumble upon this for the first time, and it'll be the first time coming to your site. So you really want to be able to have people go through your entire website and feel like, really build a relationship with you. Again, this is something very easy for VAs to sort of throw in for you. Shoutouts. Also very important, just basically in every single article, making some shout-outs to other influencers in your niche. People notice and they return the favor. So it's a big deal. Again, that's also something that you could have a VA do. Have a VA just sort of look around and see what other content that, a certain list of bloggers who you might want to, grow some rapport with, what have they been writing about that's similar, and how can we link to them. Media is basically, I like to have at least 4 media spots in posts, just so that it's a little bit more engaging. It breaks up the walls of text, whether they're photos or videos. It doesn't really matter, but something there. So this is very specific to me, but a community hook, and this is just an example of how you can add a column in for yourself that's very specific to your project. But for me particularly, one of the dangles or one of the unique aspects of Know-How Digital is the fact that we're all here in this mansion in Valle de Bravo, and that's really something that no one else is doing. So we just want to make sure to always mention the community somewhere in the post, just because it's cool. The PTC dangle, again, very specific to us, and it's an example of throwing pretty much your macro conversion in. So as of writing this right now, we don't actually have a PTC, but that used to be our main macro conversion in terms of the way Know-How Digital made money. And so the question was just, did we dangle the PTC in that post or not? And in some of them we did, some of them we didn't, but the goal was to dangle it fairly often. These are more just projected. What are the Facebook shares? The blues are basically after the fact. You go in and you actually record what they were. Was it stronger than you thought? Was it worse than you thought? Here we have 187. Here we have 5. So clearly, one of them worked and the other didn't. Asking for shares in the post, just asking people to tweet or ask people to Facebook to share on Facebook. People actually do it if you ask them. Same thing about tweets, same thing about comments, recording your actual page views after the fact. Again, the prospect side is very specific to Know-How Digital. That was basically part of our funnel, in that people who signed up, who gave us their email, became prospects. So we actually had within our funnel people who land on this page. What's the chance of them becoming a prospect versus this page or this page? And then finally, this lessons learned aspect's really important to come back to after the fact, and just sort of record what you learned from this particular piece. And that, again, that's after you filled out the rest of these blue columns, just to say, okay, well, this piece went viral, and why did this piece go viral? And the PB and D-index one did go viral. And so that's, again, this particular gauntlet wasn't managed by me, so the lessons learned haven't been recorded, but it is one of the most important things to record. This was another just thing that I added that doesn't convey our spirit. And again, you can add whatever your spirit is there too, whatever makes you unique. And then these final several columns here, again, something that I added to the gauntlet but really wasn't fully carried out, is where can you actually promote your post after you've posted it. So Reddit, inbound.org, Blackout, well, obviously these are very familiar to you if you're in the IM niche, but you would want to find, Reddit probably applies to almost anything, but you'd want to find the equivalents in your own niche. And here you could either record yes, you could record the link and the date, whatever you like. So yeah, this is just an example of a content gauntlet. Obviously, it's a lot more work to run your content through this, but it also makes for much, much better content. And I do think you should really try to get everything you can out of every piece of content you write. Thanks.